All right, so welcome to U.S. History Continued. This is a class that picks up after your junior history, yes? And then we try and get as far as we can in a semester, okay? So we'll do a little bit of a review of World War I because your teacher was probably trying to rush through that at the end online, and I know how that was, okay? Been there, done that. This is the only section I have of this class. All my other classes are government this semester. So this is a great reprieve for me from politics in the afternoon. And so I love teaching this class. The great thing about this class is in any history class you've ever taken before, this is the closest you will have to the time period that you are living. It's the history of your great-grandparents and of your parents and of you, okay? Now, I have a little bit longer time on this planet than you. I'm probably about the same age as your parents, being that I have kids around your age, okay? We grew up in a different time than you did. Okay, so to start this discussion on history, before I really get into some of the details of the class, I want you to think about this. If you were born in 1900, when you were 17, which many of you are right now, World War I had just started for the United States. At 14, it was, being fought in Europe. But by 1917, your friends, your acquaintances, your family members were volunteering and being drafted into the military to go to Europe and fight in what was called the War to End All Wars, or the Great War. During those same years in 1917 to 1919, the Spanish flu hit, which they think originated at Fort Scott in Kansas, but they called it the Spanish flu because it killed so many Spanish people. That situation killed between 20 and 40 million people, the Spanish flu. It's much worse than what we have right now as a pandemic. Then by the time you're, in your late 30s, or no, actually, you're about 30, the Great Depression starts. And you live through a decade of massive unemployment, hunger, dust bowls, tough time. And then by the end of that decade, when you're about 40, World War II breaks out. This is if you were born in 1900. Okay? 4 years of war for the United States, where over 400,000 Americans died. More than 13 million Americans put on the uniform, men and women, black and white. And then we win. We defeat fascism. Now it's communism. Coming out of that war, we've got nuclear weapons. Atomic weapons first, then nuclear weapons that can be placed in a submarine or launched from halfway around the world and target your city. Tens of thousands of nuclear warheads. Hydrogen bombs. We went through Korea to stop the spread of communism. We went through Vietnam to stop the spread of communism. Now you're in your 60s. Okay? And if you're living the life expectancy, you see ourselves through that, through the malaise of the 1970s, the early 70s, where we had a really bad economy. But in 1976, we celebrate 200 years as a nation, our bicentennial. you're 76. You've hit life expectancy. If you're fortunate, you're around long enough to see Ronald Reagan elected president in 1980. What will your lives be like? You guys were born in 2001, 2002, 2003? Yeah. You are post 9/11 children. So what your parents and I went through with the hating of communism and the fear of communism and nuclear war, that's what your parents and I remember. When the Berlin Wall came down in 1991, that was probably the biggest event in our lifetimes until 2001, when 9/11 happened. And then we had the war on terrorism. So basically, ever since you have been alive, your nation has been at war in Afghanistan. We're still there. Why? How? How did that happen? What led to 9/11 taking place? These are questions that people in your generation and even people in my generation don't know the answers to. That's where we're going to start in this class. I'm going to explain to you 2002, 2003 people, the beginning of your journey on this planet and where we got to where we are today. And that's going to be fun. Okay? So we're going to begin at the end, and then we'll jump back to a review on World War I and get as far as we can through that history. How's that sound? Okay? Cool thing about this class is the sound and motion picture camera was created in the 1920s, 1910s, teens. So we can actually watch this history. And by the time you get to the 60s, in color. Okay? So that's cool. I like to use video. Now, if we were here every day, 5 days a week, I would be showing you videos in class. I'd be talking about, hey, I'll give you 2 points for staying awake and watching a video and not working on something else. Okay? But I'm not going to show videos during class. This time is too valuable. We get twice a week for 45 minutes. So I'll be doing most of the talking, but you guys are allowed to interject, ask questions. Some of you, I find out, as we move through, are experts in certain areas of American history, like World War II and stuff. And if you want to, say, hey, Mr. Ebright, did you hear about this? I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't hear about it. Tell me about that. Okay? I've been teaching this class for 20 plus years. I read a lot. I've taken a lot of classes. I know a lot of stuff. And when I'm trying to teach this class, I'm trying to bring relevancy. So what happened in 1919, how is it still impacting us today? And if I can make that relevant, it makes it more interesting. And if it's more interesting to you, you'll remember it. It's kind of like if I watch baseball tonight or Sports Center tonight, I watch a 30-minute show on Sports Center, and then somebody asks me, hey, what happened in sports today? Well, I'll be able to tell them everything that happened because I was interested in it. Right? So that's what I'm going to try and do for you. If you give me a chance, I will try and make it as interesting as possible. I'll share stories with you that I think are interesting and relevant to the subject. Okay? And we'll have fun. Okay? Now, one of the things we've got to talk about is how we're going to do this. Because on a normal year, I have a hard time getting into the 1980s. Now we're not going to have Wednesdays, and you're not going to be here 2 days a week. So what I'm doing right now is recording. So what time did you get up this morning? Oh yeah, we did that last hour. What time did you get up?
7:30.
What time did you get up this morning? 11:20. What time did you get up?
7:40.
Good kid. What'd you get? Nice.
10:30. 7:30. I need it up so early. I need to work out. 6:45.
Okay. All right, so this morning, first hour, I teach regular government, and my wife helped me build this thing in Teams or on Outlook, where I emailed all of my regular government students last night about 10 o'clock. And I said, here's a meeting at 8 a.m. You can come into my classroom at 8 a.m. for those that were at home. Now I had, 8 students here, and the other 7 were at home. Okay? Plus my 7th hour. So I sent it to all them too. I had 5 people show up in my classroom at 8 o'clock this morning. They actually saw the email and hit the link for the meeting. Okay? Now they didn't have to stay because I'm doing the same thing today as I did yesterday. And they already heard it. But it showed me it worked. So, your 5th hour, you're in the afternoon. So, how's this going to work? The class that is home right now, right? They're the gold. Okay? They can come into this class live. Okay? I'm not set up for live right now. I will be sending you an email, okay, to your school account with meetings on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, you guys are going to be home on Mondays and Wednesdays, or Mondays and Thursdays, right? Okay. So, you're home on Monday. You can come in. No, you're at home on Monday. You can come in live. If you're busy and you can't come in live, I'm going to record it. And I will post it on Canvas into our classes. Okay? You need to watch that video before you come to class the next afternoon. Does that make sense? That way I can teach every day something new. I'm not going to teach the same thing 2 days in a row. Okay? Does that make sense? It's the only way you're going to do it. Okay, I got this microphone, you'll be able to hear me well. Okay? I think if I turn off this light, let's see on this video which works best. Now I have PowerPoint notes that'll have backgrounds and stuff. This is just white, so that doesn't look good. So let me try that. That looks a little better. It'll probably be like this, okay? Although, I've got some sweet lights up here, and I got lamps on the back, which really creates this very, nice, warm. You guys want to turn on those lamps back there? There's 2 lights on that one. Yeah, that's pretty nice, isn't it? Okay? So we'll just keep going like that for right now. All right, so you got that? We're good on understanding that? Okay, so got history books, syllabus, okay? I got a quote here from Thomas Paine. If your parents need to get a hold of me, email's the best way. You guys can call me. If you get in a bind with something on a project or something, that's my home number, okay? This is Thomas Paine. He says, those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigues of supporting it. The fatigues of supporting it, freedom and liberty, is being knowledgeable citizens, knowing your history of your country, and a little bit of world history doesn't hurt either, okay? Being knowledgeable and being an active citizen, somebody that votes, somebody that shows up at a protest, okay? Somebody that's active participant. Okay, without people doing that, freedom will decline. Okay? The government, who does the government fear? The people. Okay, if the people are a bunch of sheep, and are docile and don't know their history, then the government will run roughshod over the people. But if the people stand up, like they did against 259, so that those kids could play sports, because they wouldn't have changed their mind unless people stood up. You following me? Okay? I went to that protest at Northwest because I felt it was important that those kids get to play sports. Okay? It may not be a big deal to you, but I want you to think about this. A lot of those kids that show up to play football or basketball or other sports at Northwest and West and South and Southeast, North, if there's no football or basketball, they're not in school. If they're not in school, they're not becoming educated, learning how to read and write, not getting a high school diploma. And guess what happens? A lot of those people are going to go to jail. And who's going to have to pay for those people while they're in jail? You are. A lot of those people are going to commit crimes against victims. Do you want to become one of those victims? Or do we want an educated society where we don't have to worry about that? Where people can be eligible to get a job? Okay? There are so many ramifications of kids not being in school. I'm afraid, guys, this is going to be devastating for society. Far worse than the disease. Kids got to be in school. Now, I know there are risks. The risks for most of you, almost all of you, are very small. But maybe not for your family members. Some of your family members. Maybe not for Mrs. Fox or Coach Lovell. Okay? But the ramifications of not being in school are so great. Okay? I know it's going to be on YouTube, but who cares? I got to tell you, I'm not a big drinker. Okay? I don't drink a lot. Okay? But I've never drank this much in my life. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's just like, especially during the lockdown. I mean, it's kind of, I'm back to work now, so I'm busy. It's like, I got stuff to do. But when you're just locked down and you got nothing, man, and there's not a lot of hope, there's not a lot of things to look forward to, that's devastating, especially on people that have depression, anxiety. I mean, you look at domestic violence, you look at child neglect, child, violence against children. It's not good. Addiction. Okay? So, when we get to government class, we'll get to talk about a lot of that stuff and debate it and so forth. But I don't know how I got on that. All right, sorry. If you're sick, stay home. Okay? You won't miss anything. You will not miss. I mean, everything's going to be on Canvas. Okay? So just do everybody a favor and stay home. I mean, we say that. You know what I mean? In years past, we say that. Stay home if you're sick. Don't come to school with a fever. Don't freaking take like 5 ibuprofen and get your temperature down so you can come to school, damn it. I want to be back here next week. I want to be here in a month. You know what I mean? I hate it. It stinks. But hey, we got to do what we got to do. And listen, do masks work? I don't know. I know at the beginning, when this whole thing started, you can go back and listen to these doctors and say, masks don't work. Don't wear a mask. You're going to be sucking up your own stuff. And you find out what kind of breath you have. But, I don't know, since we've been wearing masks, the numbers have come down. Okay? So, I don't like them. I never have, never will. All right. Course description. Let's get on to the important stuff. We get out of here at 1:35. Okay. Yeah, I talked about that. Guys, you can get college credit for this class through Friends for both of my classes. Okay, so 3 hours each. One will go in as a political science 10 or 100 or 150. I think it's political science. It'll be through friends. I'll get you the information. And then the other one, when you take U.S. history in college, they go from Columbus to 1865 through the Civil War, and then from 1865. This is the from 1865, even though we're from 1919. Okay. It'll transfer to most every college in state that I've heard of. Out of states, you might need to check. It is through Friends University. It's dual credit, so you can check on that. I don't think it will transfer to Notre Dame if you're planning on going there. So save your money, you're going to need it. Okay. Oklahoma State, I'm not sure. I think it does, but I'm not sure. Okay. So there you go. I just have a ton of objectives on here, guys, that you can read through. This is on Canvas already. This is just stuff we're going to learn. I mean, now let me give you an example. Like, so I really like teaching World War II era, the lead up to, and then the war itself. So one, I call a module. One module, I have 57 PowerPoint slides. And then the next one, which goes from Pearl Harbor to the end of the war, has 60. Okay. So now there's not notes on every one. There's pictures and stuff, you know. But you guys are going to be experts on World War II. Hope you like it. Okay. All right. Assignments, guys. Homework. Oh, homework. I'm just going to kill you guys. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. Okay. I don't like to give homework because I don't like to grade homework. Are you busy? Are you busy? How many of you guys are taking AP English and AP Bio? God bless you. I'm really fear for you. I do. I literally fear for you. 7 classes. I mean, this is like college. Our schedule's kind of like college, right? You're in school a couple days a week. But in college, you have 4, maybe 5 classes. You have 7. So I'm worried about you. I'm worried about my daughter. You know what I mean? She's taking all the honors classes too, and I'm like, oh, At least she doesn't have swords again. So I'm not going to give you a lot of homework. Okay? Maybe one assignment per like chapter. Okay, which would be like once every couple of weeks, maybe. Okay. Now here's the thing. I think I have one mandatory assignment, and then the projects are mandatory. If I do give you an assignment, chances are it's going to be optional. So if you think you can make A's on my tests, do a good job on my projects, those would be your only points. Total point system. Okay? I get about 60% of homework turned in for history, honors history. About 60% of the students will do it. Okay? The government class is harder than the history class, in my opinion. Now, not everybody feels that way, okay? But most people do. They think, yeah, the government class is harder, okay? So, because I think most people like this time period in history. It's pretty interesting, okay? And like I said earlier, if it's interesting, you remember it better, okay? All right, but anyhow, okay, so we have tests. Matching, multiple choice, true and false, fill in the blank, long answer. No essays. Okay? I'm going to try and test in person. As long as we're here, we'll test in person. Okay? If you miss a test, you come in on Wednesday, make it up. Okay? Because that's a good day to do that. Because Wednesdays, we're all here. You can come in and get help if you need it in AP Bio or AP English. Okay? All right. So, 2 projects, all right? One, students will conduct and I always have options, like if you don't like this project, here's another one, okay? Because I'm that kind of guy. Okay, so some of you had older siblings, that have been in my class and have done this, okay? And so what you're going to do is interview someone that has witnessed a historical event. Okay, what does that mean? Historical event, okay? What's your name again? Hung. Hung. Your mom or dad, or both of them, when did they come to the States?
They're not in the States.
They're not in the States. Are you foreign exchange?
Yeah.
Okay. Your name is
Jane.
Jade Fong. When did your parents come?
Maybe 3 or 7.
Okay. That's a story. That's an immigration thing, right? Now, your parents are still in Vietnam. Okay. Now, you can interview your parents on the phone, or your mom or your dad, okay? And you can ask them about the Vietnam War. You can ask them about communism. But chances are they're not going to be able to be honest with you on the phone. Because you never know who's listening on the phone, do you? Right? So, do you have family here, like a cousin or anything like that? That might be a good one. Somebody that's a citizen that came over here. Okay? That'd be great. All right? Great stories, okay? So the first time I did this project, I did it in graduate school. And it was a class called Advanced Historical Research Methods. Fabulous class. One of my favorite ever, okay? So I interviewed one of my students' parents, okay? Tram Gleason. Tram, at the age of 19, got on a boat that was 25 feet long with 46 people, 46 strangers, by herself at 19, and fled Vietnam. It was an incredible story. Your interview has to be a minimum of 15 minutes. That interview went on for an hour. The main thing you got to do with this, that's the easy part, doing the interview, is you have to transcribe it, word for word. Now, when I did it in my class, Tram had a Vietnamese accent. So when I typed it, I had to type it as if the way it sounded, her saying the words. So like if you were to interview somebody from Louisiana, down on the coast, down on the Delta, one of those coon asses that talk like that, you know what I'm saying, like that, you have to write, instead of saying that, T-H-A-T, you write D-A-T, that. Okay? Now you don't have to do that. You can. Okay? But if you're creating a historical record of somebody's story, interviewing somebody that's a coon ass from Louisiana, you'd want to have that. Or somebody from Vietnam with an accent. Okay? So the Vietnamese immigration stories are awesome. I've had a lot of Vietnamese students over the years. Okay? And they're fascinating. Okay? Some people came on a plane. Okay? Some people came on a boat through a refugee camp. Anybody that serves in the military, or grandpa that might have served in Vietnam or Korea, or grandma that grandpa went over to fight and she was at home. So the spouse of somebody that was in the military doesn't have to be during a war. I mean, we lived through the Cold War. We have people that are based in Germany and Osaka, Japan, and other places. Okay? So it could be a military vet. If you don't know somebody that was in New York City on 9/11. I've had people that were in Oklahoma City when the Oklahoma City bombing happened. That's a connection to history. Okay? Something like that. Okay? If you can't think of somebody, talk to your parents first. You might have a neighbor. But if you go to Reflection Ridge Retirement Community, any of you guys have jobs at one of the retirement? There you go. Where are you at?
I'm on the one Tyler.
Okay, yeah. My in-laws, my wife's mom and dad lived there for a few years before they passed away. That place is awesome. I'm ready to move in. I mean, they got music playing in the hallways, fountains. It's so nice. The food's pretty good. Yeah, I love that place. But you probably around some people with some stories. And they like to tell them, don't they? Okay? So if you go to the administrator, they know Bishop Carroll students. Because they've been coming there for years trying to get interviews. And they'll know which ones to point you to because they've heard the stories. Okay? Oh, yeah, you want to talk to this guy. Okay. So, and you make a friend. You know what I mean? A lot of these people are lonely. Okay? So if you don't want to do that, I'll give you another option. Okay? You can pick a battle. I'll give you a list of battles. It have to start with World War II and all the way up to Afghanistan. Okay? So if you want to do the Korengal Valley in Afghanistan or Fallujah in Iraq, or a Vietnamese battle, the My Lai massacre, you want to do the Ai Drang Valley, you want to do Korea, Chosin Reservoir, any of those. Okay, I'll have a list. And you research that battle, and when you get to that in class, you will teach it. Okay? And you write a research paper. The interview is an easy A if you do what you're supposed to do, which is minimum 15 minutes. Interview somebody who has a good connection to history or a historical event, and then write a little reflection on it. Hard not to get an A. Okay? You can do audio or video. Now most people now just email me the audio or video. I used to get these. Okay? Yay? The other one is a book review. Okay? So you're going to have to do this in history too. So you guys that have me twice, I will space that out. I'm not going to give them like back-to-back weeks, okay? Now, and I'll try not to give you a test on the same day. All right. So now, here's the thing about this book. You get to choose the book. It can be historical fiction or nonfiction. It's got to be 20th century American. You can't read a book on the Holocaust. I'm sorry. Okay? But you could read a book on how the New York Times failed to inform the American readers about the Holocaust that they knew was going on in Europe, but chose to ignore the New York Times. You could read a book about World War I. You could read a book about women's suffrage. You could read a book about the Roaring Twenties, Prohibition, gangsters. You could read a book about the jazz age, the music, the dances of the 1920s. You could read about the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl. You could read about anything in World War II, as long as Americans were involved. You could read about sex, drugs, and rock and roll of the 1960s. You want to read a biography on Jimi Hendrix? You can read a biography on Jimi Hendrix. How many of you guys know who Jimi Hendrix is? Oh, you have been deprived. Children. My kids know who Jimi Hendrix was. Okay, it's an African-American rock and roll legend. Played the guitar left-handed. If you ever heard the Star Spangled Banner played on a guitar, just rock and riff it out, that's Jimi Hendrix. He died young. What do you think he died of? Like a lot of them, drug overdose. Okay? You want to read about terrorism. You want anything. And fashion. You want to read about fashion? Or medical history of the 20th century in America? The technology age? Anything you're interested in. Because I want you to become an expert on something you're interested in. And you're going to write a book review on it. Not a book report. Those are too easy. I want your opinion of the author, the historiography, the research they did, how well they tell it, or how poorly they tell it. We'll get into that in more detail later. Okay? So I'll space those out. But that's probably going to be your first assignment. Is going to be the book. And then we'll do the interview at the end, and I can grade those over Christmas. Okay? Because I'm always grading over Christmas. Okay. All right, questions for me? Yes?
When you do like the speeches are we taking notes ourselves, or do you have time?
Good question. I'm going to give you all the notes ahead of time, all the PowerPoints, okay? So you can do one or two things. You can follow along, print them off. You can print them off right on top of them, like add stuff to it, or you can just take notes. Everybody's different, so I give you options. But you will have all the notes. Government, it's straight lecture. But this one, you're good. So you bring them with you, bring a notebook, kind of jot the days you're here if you want, or I would recommend printing them off, but I do have a ton of students that like to write them down. And I don't go fast. So like I said, I've got stories. So some days I'll have one slide. Even though I got 40 more to go through. I'll do one slide. Lots of stories. Good stuff, okay? Like I think I told you some good stuff today, right? About being born in 1900 and all the crap you went through. This stinks, but you know we're alive. We're here. All right. Hey, I hope you guys have a great 3-day weekend. Don't catch it over the weekend.
Do you have anything on Canvas to do?
So like I said, no, that's due.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to post this video on there,
Okay.
which I should stop. Bye.